Have you ever felt a deep sense of loneliness after retirement and thought that visiting old friends might be the cure? Many people believe that rekindling past friendships will fill the emotional gap that retirement often brings, but the reality is not so simple. What if I told you that visiting friends when you feel lonely might actually make things worse? In this video, we'll explore 5 surprising reasons why you should think twice before relying on old friendships to ease post-retirement loneliness. From the changing nature of relationships to the hidden risks of emotional dependence, each reason reveals why seeking comfort in familiar faces may not be the solution you think it is. Instead, we'll uncover a wiser, healthier approach to navigating loneliness after retirement, one that leads to true fulfillment and personal growth. Stay tuned until the end because what you learn today might completely shift how you approach your social life in retirement. Now, let's get started. Number 1, friendships change after retirement. One of the hardest truths to accept after retirement is that friendships aren't always the same as they once were. You may expect to pick up where you left off, sharing laughs, stories, and companionship like you did in the past. But as the years go by, people change. Life moves in different directions, and the friends you once relied on may no longer fit into your life in the same way. Think about it. Before retirement, friendships were often built around routines. Maybe you saw each other at work, met up during lunch breaks, or shared weekend gatherings when your schedules aligned. But now, without those built-in opportunities, friendships require more effort to maintain. And when you reach out to visit old friends, you may find that they've developed new routines, new relationships, and even new priorities that don't always include you. Take John, for example. At 72, he felt a deep sense of loneliness after leaving his longtime job. He thought reconnecting with old friends would bring him the comfort he needed. But when he started reaching out, he realized that many of them had already moved on with their own lives. Some were busy traveling, others were focused on their grandchildren, and a few simply seemed less interested in maintaining close relationships. John found himself feeling even more isolated than before, realizing that what he expected from these friendships no longer matched reality. The truth is, not every friendship is meant to last forever. People evolve, and the dynamics that once held friendships together may not exist anymore. When you visit old friends expecting things to be the way they used to be, you may unknowingly set yourself up for disappointment. Instead of seeking comfort in the past, the wiser choice is to embrace change and focus on building new, meaningful connections that align with the person you are today. Number 2, you might be seeking comfort in the wrong place. When loneliness sets in, it's natural to look for something familiar, something that reminds you of the past and gives you a sense of belonging. And for many, that means turning to old friends. But here's what most people don't realize. Loneliness isn't always about missing people. It's often about missing purpose. After retirement, the daily structure that once gave life meaning suddenly disappears. There are no work obligations, no meetings, no responsibilities that require your attention in the same way. Many retirees feel like they've lost a sense of direction, and in that void, they turn to friendships as a way to fill the gap. They believe that if they can just reconnect with the right people, they'll feel like themselves again. But the truth is, seeking comfort in old friendships doesn't always address the real issue. You might find yourself spending time with friends, reminiscing about the past, but still feeling an emptiness inside. That's because the problem isn't the lack of social interaction, it's the lack of something meaningful to engage with. Instead of looking outward for fulfillment, the wiser choice is to focus on rediscovering passions, setting new goals, and building a life that excites you, one that doesn't rely on others to feel complete. Look at Martha, for example. At 68, she found herself constantly reaching out to old friends after retiring, hoping that their company would bring her happiness. She spent her days calling people, visiting them, and trying to make plans. But no matter how much she socialized, she still felt like something was missing. It wasn't until she started volunteering at a local animal shelter that she finally felt a true sense of fulfillment. She realized that what she had been seeking wasn't friendship, it was purpose. If you find yourself feeling lonely and immediately think about visiting an old friend, take a step back and ask yourself, am I really missing this person? Or am I missing something deeper? True, emotional fulfillment comes from within, not from relying on others to provide it. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, constantly visiting can lead to social imbalance. Friendships should be a two-way street. Both people should contribute equally to the relationship, making each other feel valued and appreciated. But when you're the one always initiating visits, always making the plans, always trying to reconnect, it can create an imbalance. You might not even realize it. But when one person is always reaching out while the other is just passively responding, the friendship starts to feel one-sided. Many retirees don't notice this at first. They believe they're simply being proactive, making an effort to stay connected. But after a while, they start to wonder, why am I always the one making the call? Why am I always the one driving to their house? Do they even want to see me? Or are they just being polite? This can lead to frustration, resentment, and even deeper feelings of isolation. Let's talk about Richard, a 70-year-old retiree who made it his mission to stay in touch with his old friends. Every week, he would call or drop by, hoping to catch up like they used to. But after a while, he started noticing something his friends never initiated. They were friendly when he reached out, but they never made the first move. And that realization hit him hard. It made him feel like maybe they weren't as interested in maintaining the friendship as he was. He wondered, have I been forcing something that isn't there anymore? If you find yourself in a similar situation, always being the one to visit, always doing the work to keep friendships alive, it might be time to step back. A true meaningful friendship should not feel like a job. If someone values your presence, they will make an effort too. And if they don't, that's a sign to stop chasing and start focusing on relationships that bring mutual joy. Number 4, over-reliance on friends can hinder personal growth. It's natural to want companionship, especially after retirement when daily interactions become less frequent. But relying too much on old friends to fill that space can actually hold you back from the personal growth you need in this stage of life. Instead of stepping outside your comfort zone, meeting new people, or exploring new interests, you might find yourself clinging to the past, revisiting old friendships because they feel safe, even when they no longer serve you. This is something that happened to Barbara, a 74-year-old widow who spent years trying to keep in touch with her childhood friends. Every time she felt lonely, she would call them up, visit their homes, and try to relive the good old days. But deep down, she started noticing something. These interactions left her feeling stuck, not fulfilled. She wasn't growing, she wasn't trying new things. She was just running back to something familiar because it was easier than facing change. The reality is, as we age, we need to evolve too. That doesn't mean abandoning old friendships. It means recognizing when they no longer contribute to our happiness and well-being. Instead of constantly looking to the past, why not create a future that excites you? Learn a new skill, travel somewhere new, start a hobby you've always put off. Life doesn't stop after retirement, it's a new chapter, and you get to decide how to fill it. If you're watching this and realizing you've been holding on to old friendships out of habit rather than true joy, ask yourself, am I visiting because I want to, or because I'm afraid of what's next? If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, to why my number such a sorry, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, unbalanced friendships can drain your energy. Friendships are meant to bring joy, connection, and mutual support. But if you find yourself constantly visiting friends who no longer match your energy, values, or lifestyle, it can actually drain you rather than uplift you. Sometimes we keep friendships alive out of obligation, even when they no longer feel fulfilling. And as we get older, our time and emotional energy become more valuable than ever. Think about this. Have you ever spent time with someone and left feeling more exhausted than energized? Maybe the conversation felt forced. Maybe they dominated the discussion with negativity. Or maybe you realized you were doing all the emotional labor while they contributed little in return. That's not a true friendship. It's a one-sided transaction. And the more you engage in these kinds of interactions, the more you might feel emotionally drained rather than recharged. Take Thomas, for example. At 76, he prided himself on being a loyal friend. He made regular visits to old acquaintances, always checking in and making sure they were doing okay. But over time, he started noticing something. These visits weren't making him happy. Some friends only wanted to complain. Others never asked how he was doing, and a few seemed indifferent to his presence altogether. Instead of feeling connected, he left those visits feeling tired, frustrated, and even lonelier than before. The truth is, your time is precious. And if you're constantly visiting friends who leave you feeling drained, it's time to ask yourself, is this friendship truly benefiting me, or am I just holding on to it out of habit? Real friendships should leave you feeling valued, understood, and uplifted. If they don't, it's perfectly okay to step back and invest your energy in relationships that bring positivity into your life. Final thoughts. If you've made it this far, take a moment to reflect on what we've covered today. Friendships are important, but they should never come at the cost of your peace, growth, or emotional well-being. Visiting old friends out of habit, obligation, or loneliness might seem like the right thing to do, but if those friendships no longer serve you, it may be time to rethink your approach. Retirement isn't just about maintaining the past, it's about creating a future that fulfills you. Instead of clinging to relationships that drain your energy, Invest in the things that bring you true happiness. Focus on personal growth, meaningful activities, and friendships that make you feel valued. Let go of guilt and remember that you deserve relationships that uplift and inspire you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which part of this video resonated with you the most? Have you ever felt like you were holding on to friendships that no longer served you? Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.